Hello, Cindy Green here from House District 44, and I am super excited to have my campaign manager, volunteer campaign manager, I might add, Mike McGirr. And we want to talk about some exciting news. First, I want to thank Mike for the phenomenal job that he has done with my campaign. I would not have been able to do this without him. He brings a high level of expertise to campaigning, and I'm not going to steal his thunder. I want him to announce what he has got planned to be able to support the whole state of Virginia.
Well, thanks. I mean, it's easy to sell an awesome product and not to, turn you into a product, but you're the real deal. So, selling something that is authentic and real and natural is a completely different creature than manufacturing something and crafting a persona out of people who are uncomfortable in front of the camera or uncomfortable in a room of strangers. And so what's amazing about this opportunity and why I jumped at the opportunity to work with you when you asked for some help, at first I tried to convince you not to do it.
It's true.
For a long period of time, we were going through lists of things that would definitely knock it off your list of what you wanted to bring to your family or to the community and to your lifestyle. And so, you very soberly made the decision. It was an extremely intelligent process. It was a designed process. And that's part of this. That's part of what we're talking about today is taking a careful and very measured approach to what the likely outcomes are of our actions. And so, is this going to screw up your life? Is this going to screw up the life of your children, your grandchildren? Is it going to screw up your job? These are all things that need to be asked very soberly and need to be examined really intimately by the potential candidate, by the candidate's family. And frankly, this is, product placement when it comes down to it, but it needs to be delivered in a way that everybody relates to and everybody can see. That's what makes, again, you being a native, you being a single mom, raising your kids through struggles, utilizing public support systems from when you were a small child until you got both of your daughters through their undergraduate degrees. I mean, these are all things that make it so incredibly easy to sell to the community because that's what's going on. They want to know who you are. They don't want to know what words come out of your mouth necessarily. They want to know what makes you tick, what makes you feel that you can represent this area. That's what makes you and Josh Oatsey and so many of our friends that we've met along the way so compelling is because they're the real deal. They're actual people who live actual lives and are experiencing the negative effects of poor governance. And that poor governance is coming out of the fact that there has been extremely poor strategy. That's what really makes it so important to have a smart strategy when it comes to working in rural spaces, when it comes to working in suburban and urban spaces. But to understand what a rural space really is, what drives rural communities, what supports the community's love for one another across the fences, that's what makes you all unique. What makes you all ineffective is a lack of comprehensive strategy and comprehensive resources. And that's
Right.
what I think we should talk about is, you know, as we worked with Fergie and we worked with other colleagues that supported and directed you through the systems, through the ban system, through the VPAP system, through,
Right.
all these different mechanisms that are there, but unknown to most people, completely
Right.
opaque. And there is no body that actually communicates that to people that the party itself is trying to insert into spaces, right?
Right.
There's a reason that disconnect happened. It's because they're used to driving the entire bus of the Commonwealth from Richmond to Roanoke, and they just dropped everybody else off and dropped a lot of those rural communities off that are east of 77.
That's right.
They just if it didn't conform to what their internal structure was, then it wasn't going to get any resource or communication or even a return phone call or
Well,
even an email that's acknowledging that you signed up
that's
for
right.
the LGBT
Not
caucus,
even
which
a
I did when I moved to the state.
Yeah, not even a thank you.
No.
And I will add to that the rural candidates like myself, and I'm on a back channel with the other 27 candidates that are running in red rural districts, we do not get the acknowledgement from the state party, because if
Yeah.
they don't think that if they're not sure you're going to be able to flip your district, they don't have time to spend on helping you. And I argue that we're never going to be able to turn these rural districts around if we don't have people running every election. But it's
Absolutely.
extremely intimidating. Someone like myself, I've never run for office before. This is my first time. I do have experience in lending and economic development, but running a campaign, if it hadn't been for you, there's no way that I would have been able to do this. That's why I'm super excited to be able to share you and your knowledge with the other rural candidates, and go ahead and let them know what you're going to do.
Sure. I mean, from just a little bit more structurally, is that, in the early days, we went to Acres of Democrats together,
Yes.
right? We sat at your table, we brought your materials, we brought your
Right.
signs, we saw, Hashmi and Jones there from the night before. And it was a big room filled with a bunch of candidates and their families. And I didn't understand what was going on. And that's because I didn't know what the Fighting Ninth District was, or what the Congressional District 9
I didn't, yeah.
meant. And it's not the fault of an individual. It's the state of the circumstances of the resources that we have at our disposal. And that state is decrepit in many cases, and it needs to be rebuilt. So I met Rebecca. You introduced me to Rebecca Daly. She's the chair of the District 9 committee, the Fighting Ninth, and I learned more about it. And I learned that she is very much like you. She's a self-starter. She has her own business. She understood all of the mechanisms that were just, in front of her. And she shared that with me. And it was just awesome to finally understand what this structure is here. It's very different from other states that I've lived in. And, so in the context of that, I ended up running for membership of the Congressional District 9 in the midst of your campaign.
That's right.
And now I'm a member, and we're coming up on reorganization, which is a statewide reorganization cascading through different levels of committees that spread out across the geography and across the interest areas. And it's complex, and it's challenging, and it's confusing. And it's almost as though it's been designed to be confusing.
Almost as though they don't want regular people running for
Oh.
office.
Okay. Yeah, it does seem like that,
It does
doesn't
seem
it?
like that.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And so in the context of that, I learned about the committee structure, and that there's one steering committee in the Commonwealth of Virginia that is the core, that is actually the deciding body of the Virginia Democratic Party, that is the deciding body of the Virginia Democratic Party. And that is their central committee. And so that's comprised of a bunch of the chairs from different districts, like Rebecca Daly.
Right.
And then it's also comprised of a bunch of caucus chairs. What is a caucus chair?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knew that this
knows?
thing existed, right? Well, that's because it's a very unsexy, unglamorous, almost powerless system that is in existence. There's an LGBT caucus, there's a women's caucus, there's the Rural Caucus, and I am running to become the new chair of the Rural Caucus. And so this is important because it represents all 100 districts, right? The rural areas in every district. It represents opportunities for creating efficiency in communications, creating efficiency in terms of expenditures, like, common buying, so that we're not all paying premium prices for 500 business cards or for 300 yard signs. I mean, this is insane that there is no common system provided by the body of the Democratic Party to support the candidates. There's no like Canva, template out there for people to put their ads together to create their social campaigns with. All of these things are things that should be organized within the party. They should not to be dictated, not like you must use this exact blue pen. It's not like that kind of a heavy branding, but it is branding. It needs to be able to reflect what the state party values are and some of the aesthetics and some of the talking points, right, that are coming from those bigger spaces, from those more leadership spaces, from the population centers. but it currently just has nothing there. Now, I've never received an email other than a thank you for my $20 for joining the LGBT caucus. I
Are
never
you lucky
received.
you even got the thank you email?
I
Some of the
did.
caucuses I've joined, I don't get any acknowledgement at
And
all.
I didn't get an acknowledgement from the Rural Caucus.
Right.
And I actually sent the link out to about 75 people, saying, "Hey, join this Rural Caucus thing because this is a way to influence decisions that are being made in Richmond about the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
This is about how to get representation directly into into your community, and it's not just about the elected officials. It's about the people who are elected within the party that work with the elected officials
That's right.
or don't work with the elected
Mhm.
officials, which is currently part of the case. So things are selective, right, as to who gets the attention, who gets the $250, who, these are small decisions that can have a big impact in a rural space. And if they're poorly made, or if they're poorly made, it can just completely destroy and bury a campaign.
Right.
And, I think that you experienced a lot of that when we were trying to raise money for the billboards, right?
Mhm.
And we were trying to raise money for the print ads and for the media buys, right? And so we were out there asking for free production services. We're currently experiencing free production services from this incredibly generous person that's on the other side of the camera. That is a travesty that we live in a state with so many resources that we can't get simple budgetary giving based on your candidacy and then a scale where as your candidacy is working forward and toward and getting into the weeds. Oh, okay, you need some more resources. Great. We can help you with the billboard buys. This is how you strategize your billboards in a district so that you can maximize their existence, right?
Yeah, and so as a candidate, I have never bought a billboard before, so I had no idea, like, how do you pick the billboard? And so that's another area of expertise that Mike was able to bring to my campaign in that identifying which billboards had the highest impressions and which radio spots did we want to do? Did we want to do a 15-second or a 30-second? All things that are not within my skill set because this is the first time I've ever run for office. So having a resource like Mike by my side has made a huge difference in my campaign. And that's why I'm super excited that he's running for Rural Caucus chair because all of my partner candidates that have struggled and we've been on this back channel and we're all trying to share information with each other. If they had a resource like Mike, that would take so much stress off of them. And they then can be out talking to their constituents, knocking doors and meeting their voters where they are and not having to learn how to market and how many impressions a billboard needs to have. And so just having him by my side has been invaluable, and having this resource available to the rural candidates throughout the state is going to be game changer.
I completely agree. I go into some details here. So, yeah, one of the awesome opportunities. I mean, when you're like, I'm going to get some billboards, and I'm like, all right. And Fergie was raising money with Charles Gaba,
That's
right?
right.
Which was
That's
this
right.
incredible resource where now over $5,000 has come to each one of the 27 candidates who
Right.
got zero from the state party.
Correct.
And so the campaign for you, we're able to maximize those dollars. What was that, like $7,000 in total on billboards so far?
I
Around
think
there.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're getting over 500,000 weekly eyeballs on your billboards in a district that only has 170,000 people, right?
Yeah.
That means that everybody is passing these billboards on a regular basis. They're seeing them, they're catching them out of their periphery, they're seeing them with their eyes, they're reading them at stoplights. That's invaluable marketing right there. Nobody knew that you existed outside of your professional and family and friends,
Right.
until this moment. Now you got out in the landscape, and it's not just the billboards that tell it, but it's the yard signs, it's the big, large format signs, it's the door knockers that your canvassers have put on almost 5,000 people's doorsteps, right? And handed to a lot of these people. All of these materials need to be more efficiently produced. They need to be more conducive to the candidates simply plugging their information into it like a little template.
Right.
There is no reason on earth why you should be printing in one printer and everybody else getting a discount by ganging up all of their printing because they're a beloved part of the party instead of redheaded stepchild.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
some of the efficiencies that we're able to look at too are going to be in messaging, in being able to share common messages that are positive for the community, that address horrible things and good things, but do it in a way that shows that you care about the community, not that you're poking your
Right.
finger at communities for failing, because they didn't fail. The community did not fail. The
Right.
party failed to work with the community
Yeah.
to keep them strong when they were a union community, when they had solid jobs and they were middle class. That's what those people need to be able to access is, how do I get my message out in an effective way without having to open up all these school books and learn all these other professions.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
you want to talk about your candidacy. You want to talk about the things that are important to you, and you want your neighbors to hear what you're saying, understand what you're saying, and then look into you.
Yeah.
You want to be examined. You want to be able to put statements out there. We can make smart decisions. We can provide Democrats with all the materials that they need and with the financial support as well, by virtue of organizing together. Charles Gaba showed us the way.
That's exactly right. We
Right?
know it can be done.
Can be done outside of the Democratic Party structure. Is this rabble rousing? Yeah, sure is. Guess what? You guys have been ignoring all the rural districts in this Commonwealth for quite some time, and you're all paying the price for it.
That's why they're
why
red.
rural housing. That's why rural housing is out of control. That's why rural hospitals are closing.
Yeah.
It's all because there hasn't been the right level of attention provided to these communities, and the attention that comes with ears out first and mouths shut. And what we hear when we hear it from the UMWA, when we hear it from chambers of commerce, when we hear it from communities, when we're talking to people in Lebanon at the Veteran Fest, people are stunned that nothing comes this way, right?
They feel
Except for
abandoned.
people telling them that they're going to bring small nuclear to them, that they're going to bring new landfills to them, that they're going to install their economic development tool for Eastern Virginia, not an economic development tool that Southwest wants, right? They're going to bring data centers. We have the opportunity to work with a housing manufacturing facility that can help replace a lot of those lost jobs that have been destroyed through the convergence that have been destroyed through the movement toward clean energy. Clean energy is great. We love it. So do the UMWA. They just don't love it being shoved down their throats when it consumes farmland and pollutes their water and doesn't bring any real jobs that their kids are going to be able to have in this community in this year.
Exactly. So I'm super excited. I hope you are, to meet Mike and to work with him. And what we need you to do is we need you to join the Rural Caucus, simple online membership submission, so that you're ready to vote when the reorganization happens. And that will happen between December 15th and January 15th. And there will be public notice of when that's going to happen. So you need to be a part of the caucus. Join today so that you're ready to place your vote, so that we can have fantastic support within the rural communities in Virginia. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Yes, please register for Rural Caucus. You don't have to contribute the $20 that it's requesting. That's a request. That's not a requirement. Just join the Rural Caucus and keep your eyes and your ears open for that notice that comes through, because we'll have the opportunity to bring this. We want all members of the rural community that need resources to come and get them. We're going to start with Rural Caucus, and we're not going to stop until we get to Richmond.
Thank you.
Good job.
Damn. All right.
We do.